Welcome into the Non-League Paper's Non-League Goalmouth show. My name is Matt Badcock. I'm the editor-at-large of the Non-League Paper. I'm joined by our executive editor, Jon Couch, live from his kitchen from the looks of it, and our regular contributor, Andy Mitchell. Hi, chaps. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You okay?
Very well. Looking forward to the season starting. We're ready to go again, Andy. It's creeping up on us, mate. Live football begins on Friday night.
Indeed, it does. Yeah. 4 pre-season friendlies so far, and then the real action starts again with the FA Cup next week. Some Step 5 and 6 leagues getting kicked off. So, some interesting fixtures out there as well.
It's all go. I asked Couch this question the other week. Have you actually seen a decent pre-season friendly ever in your life?
Funnily enough, I have this year. Bishop's Cleeve against Banbury last Friday night was decent, actually, and I have to say Bishop's Cleeve, of all the teams I've seen in pre-season, probably look, when you watch a team and they look ready, it's not necessarily about they played well or because some of these games are a bit soft soap, but they looked physical and at it and ready, cohesive. They've added a couple of players to what was already a good squad that got into the Step 4 playoffs last season, and you shouldn't really make predictions based on pre-season friendlies, but I think that they're going to be up there this season. They just looked at it, and there was a little glint in Paul Collicutt's eye when I had a chat with him as well. So, I think they'll be up there.
Do you think sometimes managers, you do get that, pre-season doesn't matter, but sometimes, as you say, they do know have that little feeling sometimes, don't they? You talk about in 8 months' time when they're sort of teams are winning the league, they say, well, I did know in pre-season, actually. If you didn't say that at the time.
Yeah, why don't you tell us?
Hey, Banners, you remember that Farnborough pre-season? Do you remember when under Alan Taylor, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Alan Taylor when
they smashed everyone.
He said about being at it. Oh, they were at it right from the start, and they look really, really good.
I think they beat Gillingham. Gillingham.
Yeah. Gillingham rings the bell, certainly. Southampton, they probably would have played as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. And what happened on the first day of the season?
Yeah. Oh God, I went up on the first team coach.
They lost to Leek Town, wasn't it?
Leek Town on the first game of the season, and spirits were high, and everyone was buzzing. They had players like Dennis Bailey in the team. They looked really good, and they got spanked 4-0. And I remember thinking, wow, how did that happen? And it was a sort of it was the season really when I realised that pre-season is not really what it's cracked up to be. But it was it a harsh reality, I think, for them that that there was still work to be done.
That was a tough season, wasn't it? Dennis Bailey.
Yeah, it was a tough season. Yeah, they got relegated, didn't they?
Yeah. Was that the year that Dennis Bailey got plucked by Cheltenham Town, didn't he?
Yes, it was.
Steve Cockles towards the end, and Cheltenham.
Yeah, he was the star player. He was the star man, and it was only a matter of time before someone snapped him up, and Cheltenham got him for a bargain, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
So in short, boys, we're saying that the Bishop's Cleeve are going to finish about 14th then.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep an eye on them now for you, Anne.
Basically, this will be the true test. How do Bishop's Cleeve get on? Like them, we can sort of.
We're Bishop's Cleeve fans this year.
Yeah. Well, if you're a Bishop's Cleeve fan, then you need to get on
touch.
Fantasy Non-League and get them on as one of your selections. This is the very popular competition that is.
I'm going to put it in mind this year.
You got a chance. You got a chance that the overall winner wins £1,000. So you've got to pick out all your teams. Entries are flying into the popular competition as they do every year, run by our Ian White, who does a brilliant job. But there's also not only for people who haven't played it before. You pick your sort of different teams that you think are going to do well. You get points throughout the season. You can make substitutions, but there's also quite a competitive race to be to finish bottom as well.
There is.
I think you're going to do well, and you win 500 quid for that. So
get paper this week.
We did do a team in it. We did enter a sort of an NLP team a few years ago, sort of where we couldn't obviously win any any money. Not that would have ever mattered because we were absolutely miles off it. But
we should do it again. We should do it again.
Really well. Maybe we should do it this year.
Yeah.
Leave in there.
I'm going to have a go. I'm going to have a go.
We should do it.
You can't win the prize though, Andy, because you work for us. So.
Yeah, no, we should do that.
We should, but there's people take it really serious, don't they? They're really good. Actually, it's where you should get your predictions. We should get Ian White to send over who people have picked to do well, and then make those a pre-season predictions because they are people are really spot on. They really sort of take you sort of speak to the winner every year, Couch, don't you? And they take it really seriously, don't they? So
yeah, that's right. I tell you what, there's a few very knowledgeable people out there, and invariably it's the same winners every year.
They're always up there, aren't they?
The guys who are thereabouts. Very, very.
I like how you say out there, and you don't refer to
out there.
Definitely not in the office on a Saturday. There's no knowledge in the office on a Saturday when it's
or in the press boxes of the Midlands either. I might add. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
never underestimate the power of the fan.
Well, this is it. Fans no more. They see everything, so see much more than we do. So yeah, that's in now. So if you like Football League, there's a Football League one as well. And I think we've even got a rugby one as well across those. So check those out in the paper. The entry forms in every week at the minute. So yeah, get in, get your early entry bonus as well. One of the ongoing sort of sagas that's still ongoing is obviously Morecambe, and we talked quite a lot about that last week and. There was, I think at the time of recording, they just announced this other takeover with a certain Johnny Cato, and an update was to follow on that Friday, which Johnny Cato. So obviously that update hasn't followed, and yeah, just a continuing sort of time of stress for Morecambe fans. Their game against Barrow the other night behind closed doors was cancelled in the end, but they do seem to be set to play against Fylde on Saturday, which is good news that the players are obviously still there training and doing their kind of bit, but the sort of the fear keeps growing. I can't really work out what the Bond Group and Jason Whittington are trying to do other than kind of prolong it. Are they trying to put them in the worst position possible when they sort of start the season, take it right down to the wire when they really have to do it? But obviously, Andy, you covered the Worcester Warriors situation on your local paper a few years ago when they went to the wall, and obviously Bond Group were involved there as well.
Yeah, I was around a little bit before that, so I didn't necessarily cover the collapse, but the kind of start of financial concerns, and of course they had Worcester Raiders, a Step 5 team, move into the ground there. I interviewed Jason Whittingham and Colin Goldring, who was the other guy behind Bond Group Investments until he left the board, and that's been well documented as well. Yeah, I just wonder whether it's not necessarily solely down to them. Is it down to a myriad of companies and who they owe money to, who might be saying, well, no, actually, we want you to push for this deal, or that's not enough to cover that, or is it associated with other companies? Is there a chain behind this? They all say, don't they, follow the money and you won't be far away. And I do wonder whether that's driving this, because there doesn't appear to be any other credible reason. Why wouldn't he want to get this football club off his hands? He's getting absolutely vilified from every corner. It makes no sense. He's been a businessman for a long time in lots of businesses. Some people will say failed businesses, but he's been around a long time. He's not, Jason Whittingham's not stupid. People who get into these positions aren't stupid. So he knows that he's not going to suddenly rock up and be chairman of Morecambe and the gates are going to open and it's going to be ta-da. It's not going to work like that. So there has to be a good reason, in his eyes at least, somewhere, for this to be dragging on in the manner that it is. And you would suspect that it's financial.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is that the concern is that it has just kept rolling on, and kind of what are the reasons? And you say, I sort of seen
Fans
bits.
deserve to know, though, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you see even
The
people
fans
who have been
deserve
involved
to
in the
know.
club before, so it don't seem to kind of no. But it is getting to that situation now where decision National League are going to have to make a decision. The authorities are going to have to make a decision at some point very soon about what's going on, because it can't be kicking off the season for sure the way it is at the minute. If the season was tomorrow, could that happen? That's the big concern. And we sort of spoke last week about obviously the EFL. This problem's been bubbling along in the EFL for a while, and now it's on the National League's plate. But it's something's going to have to give soon enough, unfortunately.
Be interested to see what happens on Saturday. There's a lot of talk about sort of players going on strike, or
I think they seem to have sort of
materialised, is it? But
it seems to have sort of denied that essentially, haven't they? And I think in one of these things, sort of, that's not come out maliciously or anything. It's sort of just there's just so much sort of swirling around that kind of there's things get crossed and changed, doesn't.
Let's have it right though. If they did go on strike, I don't think anybody would blame them, because players, it's easy to say, oh, players are paid this, or we'd all dream of doing that job. But the bottom line is every time they cross that white line, they could come off with a broken leg. It could be the end of their career at any point.
Yeah.
If they've not got faith that relevant insurances are paid, for example, and I don't know if they are, that's not an accusation. But they're also not being paid. They're looking and their mortgage isn't being met, and they've signed a contract or signed for a club in good faith. You could understand why they're saying, right, well, we're not going to turn out in a pre-season friendly and take that risk, because there is no sign of us getting paid at the moment, and there's no obvious sign of an end to the situation. Even if the situation continues to be bad, the big issue is that this feels never ending, and there doesn't seem to be an obvious tipping point. It's not like, right, well, by Saturday, whenever, we'll know, because this must happen. It's not really like that. It's just rumbling on and on and on. And there has to be a cutoff for some people. It'll be different for some players than others. Some players will be in a better position who might not need the money. Some of those lads and staff members and various other people behind the scenes at Morecambe in whatever department, they're going to be looking at it and saying, have I got enough in the bank account to pay my bills this month? And none of us would want to be in that situation. We wouldn't put up with it from our employers. And sometimes it's easy to forget that these are employees and they've got lives to live, and they're put in a really invidious position, because I dare say they don't want to let the fans down. They don't want to let the club down. They don't want to be a part of the reason why it ends up tipping over. But at the same time, they've got to look after themselves as any of us would in our normal day-to-day lives, who don't do jobs that are in the public eye quite like Morecambe's are. So I just really feel for those people. And that's sometimes easy to forget. Yes, the fans are important, of course. The establishment of football and the continuation of football in Morecambe is really important. But let's not forget those people and the reasons why they may consider be going on strike, because they're in an awful situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you say, people can forget about footballers because of that perception that I'd do it for free and I'd go and play for free for my club, etc., etc. But until
you've got to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. And as you quite rightly say there, one bad challenge, or one not even a bad challenge, one innocuous twist or something just goes wrong, and that can be your career done. And then guess what? People aren't just going to give you a contract just because they feel sorry for you. It just doesn't work like that. So
exactly.
Yeah, obviously a very concerning situation that has been rumbling on, and hopefully can, a bit of good news will just be.
Yeah. They deserve it, don't they, the fans?
For the fans, yeah.
They've just got to get it. They've just got to get it sorted out. And these statements, I always hate statements. I know, typical journalist with that, but statements don't always answer questions, and sometimes they throw up more questions.
They do. They do, and they're daily and contradict themselves.
Exactly. And people just deserve answers. And for all I know, Jason Whittingham and the Bond Group might be in a situation where they can't answer these questions immediately. Come out and say that and tell people clearly why. with everything that's happened, maybe they're not going to be believed, but at least they will have done that. And at the end of the process, they can say, we did that. At the moment, that doesn't feel like it's really happening.
Yeah, it does seem to be the thing across the board kind of thing sometimes, isn't it? Just don't sort of speak across all kind of things. It's interesting. Sometimes I look at sort of like American sport, and sometimes when something happens there, the person who might be in the firing line, they come out and speak straight away, and it kind of gets it sort of dealt with. Whereas over here, we sort of time to like shut down, lockdown things, don't say anything, and hope that it all goes away.
Don't get me started on that one, gents.
Well, you deal with councils quite a lot, and you're sort of in kind of in your I wouldn't say day job, because it's it's all the day job, but you deal with councils and sort of political sort of stories and in your other roles that you do, and obviously a piece that you did for us last week about FC Halifax Town and their sort of Shea Stadium situation, where the council were trying to get rid of the Shea and the sort of situation there that you've covered over last week and at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
What's happening? Use a rundown.
Well,
a short rundown.
The council statement was less than clear, and obviously the situations are very, very different to Morecambe, and I'm not trying to compare apples with pears, but there is the thing that they do have in common is the lack of communication, and supporters deserving better. The short version of the Shea situation is that it's council owned and operated, which is a rare thing. Council owned grounds are usually the responsibility of a club or an external company, because most councils up and down the country acknowledge that they're not very good at doing these things. Obviously, the Shea is quite a big deal. The council also has, I believe, rents part of it out as their offices for certain things as well. So there's that kind of crossover. But they made the decision back in February 2024 as part of a budget decision to sell it, to get it off the books, because it was making such a heavy loss. And again, councils don't necessarily run these things as well as the experts might. And that might well be a part of that. The pitch has been an issue at the Shea for a long time. Ken Davey, the owner of Rugby League Super League outfit Huddersfield Giants, wants to take them there to play alongside Halifax Town and Halifax's Rugby League Club, 3 teams sharing, which could be a problem with the EFL, but of course they didn't win promotion this season, so it's not an issue in the National League. Part of that is that the pitch is being replaced. Ken Davey can't buy it right away. The council has agreed to it, but can't buy it right away because it was part of an asset of community value, which means a 6-month delay for a community interest group to come and put in a bid. They expressed that interest, but before the 6 months has elapsed last week, pulled out, saying it wasn't viable. And again, generally the condition of the whole place to bring it up to scratch, they didn't have the funds to do it. Ken Davey clearly does. And the work has already started on the pitch, although it appears to be the council and the 2 Halifax clubs taking responsibility for that, while Ken Davey looks to complete his purchase. The questions for the fans is Ken Davey's long-term motives, what he's going to do with the stadium. Is it going to be there in perpetuity like it was under the council? Is it going to be that sporting facility? Long term, how's he going to manage it? Is it going to be his priority once he gets a permanent stadium for Huddersfield Giants down the road? There are those questions. And there are a lot of process questions. So when something like this happens, that particularly with a club of the size of Halifax Town, there will be a section of supporters who ask questions around the process through which this happened, what the club agreed to, when, how, why. And with it being council, what the council agreed to, how, when, why. And those answers are lacking. And when people ask for those details and they feel they have the right to them, and they do have the right to them, that's when the shutters come up a little bit. the statements out of the politicians at Calderdale Council have been vague and scripted and read. The responses from Calderdale Council to us have been somewhat vague. They fit a new pitch this season. We don't know if the Wealdstone game at the Shea is going to happen on Saturday, August the 16th. A few Wealdstone fans have started asking that question. We asked what the anticipated timescales were. Press release from the council in June said that they were on target for the start of the season. I asked them for timescales. They didn't field that question. They just sent me a statement on good progress has been made with the majority of works now complete, but there's still some work to do. But yeah, is the Wealdstone game going to go ahead? Is it? And even if the answer is we can't say yet, they're just almost ignoring the fact that that question is there. And when that happens, you have a vacuum. And when you have an information vacuum in this social media age, somebody fills it. Give people straight answers. We can't answer that question yet but that's not happening. The club is not communicating on it at all. And there's a large fan base there that has gone through this uncertainty for more than a year over its home. Now, you whip away that stadium from under FC Halifax Town, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's the fear in the long term that's the type of thing that could happen. That's the hair that's running in a lot of minds of Shaman supporters. Surely they deserve some kind of reassurance that's a bit more than half-hearted statement. The club needs to communicate. The council needs to communicate. Just be straight with people about the questions you can't answer yet. Rant over.
That's it. Do you think councils don't sort of understand like the football sort of side of things sometimes? These sort of like levels where they don't really sort of just don't get it, or
they haven't got it. A lot of them haven't got a Scooby. It's one of those things where, you know, I dealt with it in Speedway because I've done some Speedway journalism as well. They don't understand what they don't understand, and local government, as I found through doing the local democracy reporter stuff, it's all quite inward facing. These are the services we deal with, and they've got an expertise on those things and how they work and the mechanics of local government, and not necessarily the mechanics of the things that happen outside that plug into those local government things. I can't necessarily say that for certain about Calderdale Council because I don't have enough experience of them. But what I can say is that their statements don't answer the questions, very simple questions that have been put, or even tell us why they can't be answered. They're just ignored. It's as if the questions weren't there. Well, this is the question we want to answer, and this is what we're going to say. That it doesn't bother me, but it bothers their residents and it bothers their supporters, and they deserve better. And the fans deserve better out of Chairman David Bosworth. His secretary came to us when we first started covering this story in March and said, David will ring you next week. He's told me to tell you that he's unavailable, but he will get back in touch with you. I must have tried 10 times to get hold of him since. Not a dicky bird. There's no need for that. You know, and there are no official statements. You know, some clubs rely on their own official statements, their own channels, which, you know, that's their choice. But there's nothing through there either. Nothing meaningful. Talk to people.
Yeah, talking to people is it's like it's going out of fashion. Some people are quite happy to talk, and it's even having that off the record conversation sometimes, isn't it? Which sort of, you know, I know sort of people don't necessarily like, or fans don't like to hear, but that's kind of a lot of what goes on is kind of, you know, off record, and you know that's kind of part of the job. But hopefully there'll be some sort of positive news and some questions will be answered.
But the positive element of it is that they are getting that new hybrid pitch.
Yes, definitely, and that's a big.
And the supporters club statement that was issued to us last week, that's been a real handbrake. And you know, we heard from Chris Millington many times. Who, by the way, when I'm critical of Halifax's communication, that doesn't apply to Chris Millington because he's always brilliant, picks up the phone and has a good chat with you. But he was quite open about the fact that it's been a handbrake on their playoff bids in the past 2 seasons. At least that is going to be in place. Now, they might kick off the season a little bit late at the Shea by the looks of things. That wouldn't be a surprise. But if that hybrid pitch comes together and holds up as it's expected to, the fans will see much better football, hopefully, and hopefully won't It's not really fair when a team wants to push for promotion like Halifax. If the handbrake is literally a boggy pitch, at least it will give them a more level playing field. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, and obviously Adam Lakeland's gone in there this summer and
tough on him, isn't it?
Yeah, really good, a really good manager. He deserves that sort of fair chance as well. So that is news at the
another good open communicator in my experience.
Brilliant, spot on. Always has been. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think he signed very well the last couple of weeks. They brought a few guys in, and some good players in there. And I think he's starting to build something there. And I was a little bit fearful for them, I must admit, a couple of weeks ago. But you look at their squad now; it looks a lot stronger. And I think they
and with all that positivity happening, and with all that positivity happening, why spoil it by being open on the other stuff? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like honestly,
I say, rant's over now. I'm sorry, boys.
No, but it's true, and they do deserve some positivity. And then as you say, hopefully that will come on the pitch as well. And he's building a good squad. And he's done a great job at Farsley, at Curzon, and at Kings Lynn. And I spoke to Josh Coulson a few weeks ago now, and Josh was played under Adam at Kings Lynn, and Josh is, I've known him for a long time, spoken to him many times when he sort of, came through at Cambridge and Leyton Orient, and, he's had great success. And he said that, I've played under some brilliant managers, worked with some brilliant people, but Adam Lakeland is right up there. He's such a good person. And, you can sort of see that on the sort of the signings that he's making now. There are a lot of players who've played with him before and that want to play for him and do well for him and continue that success he's had at other clubs. So looking forward to seeing how they get on on that nice pitch when they actually do.
There was some divisions at Kings Lynn last season with various ownership things going on, but the one thing that came out is that Adam Lakeland was very well thought of, pretty much top to bottom there, and a lot of supporters were gutted to see him go. I know they're sorted now in terms of their future, but it clearly very well thought of, despite a lot of things going on behind the scenes at Kings Lynn. The regard he was held with really shone through, which I thought was telling.
Yeah, and I thought it was also a really good move for him as well when you look at it, because he came completely out of his comfort, sort of out of his patch. It's sort of a bit like that in non-league, isn't it? Sometimes managers sort of have their patch, their area that they kind of operate in and work in, and not bounce from club to club, but they're sort of well known in their neck of the woods as such. And he came out of his comfort zone to the sort of the other end of the other side of the country from where he kind of got his success and worked with players he hadn't worked with before, and like the Josh Coulsons of this world, and did well. And obviously, that was it's not an easy division to get out of, National League North, say the least, but they they were right up there pushing for it, weren't they? So be interested to see how they get on. But as we were saying earlier, competitive football is back from this Friday night with Step 5 and 6 kicking off. Obviously, a lot of leagues trying to get their games in. It always feels far too early, in my opinion. I get all the reasons why that it starts now. It is
25th of July.
It is.
I can't remember being this early before.
I don't know. I think probably it probably is. I mean, I always feel the season finishes too early as well. I'm sort of like August to May kind of traditionalist, but
it's certainly shifted, isn't it?
Now, but obviously it's all because of the FA Cup. Needing to get the FA Cup rounds in because of when the FA Cup first round needs to start. So a lot of the football calendar is dictated by that, and that's why there's such a stress at the end of each season to get everything finished, signed off, leagues done, and so we can sort of move to this point. But it's a bit strange when you're sort of not really supposed to play competitive football or friendly, in June, and then 3 weeks into July you're kicking off kind of thing. So
we've seen more June friendlies this year, haven't we?
And more June friendlies this year. Yeah, there were quite a few more. So maybe they're sort of being a bit more.
It caught a few people by surprise, didn't it? The June friendlies this year.
When you say caught people by surprise, Do you mean when you say caught people by surprise? You mean me when we had that conversation?
you were one of them. You certainly were. Yeah.
You're like, well, we've got
Well,
quite a few friendlies for this Saturday, and I was like, what?
Well, I'll give you the ring, and I said, yeah, fellas, we need a page for pre-season friendlies. What? No, surely not. Next thing you know,
what point do we really not end up getting a break though?
Yeah,
there was no break. There was probably a break of about. What do you think? The National League playoff final was on the 1st of June or whatever it was, and then maybe there's a break of like 2-3 weekends.
Yeah,
and then there's no break anyway because there's football on all the time anyway, and that's one of the there is no switch off. There is no switch off, but
the proper stuff is back.
The real stuff is back. The actual stuff that matters from Friday night.
It's basically because a lot of the kids this year, the summer's just starting. Schools are finished. The summer's just starting. For us, the summer's over. We're now into the autumn months, aren't we?
We're in the 2025-26 season, which we'll now start getting used to writing rather than 20.
Yeah.
But I think it's about 9 leagues kicking off this weekend. About 9.
Yeah, 9 step 5 and 6 leagues where we can work out. The FA Cup obviously starts next Friday. So a lot of the teams are using this weekend and on Tuesday and midweek to get a game or two in before the FA Cup. Yeah, that's the ideology.
Yeah, which makes sense. You don't want to be going into FA Cup obviously can be a bit of a money spinner, can't it? So you don't want to be
you want to be ready. You want to be be fresh.
There are some leagues that aren't kicking off though until after those FA Cup games have taken place. So the Hellenic League doesn't start on Saturday, but it starts in the midweek, building up to the FA Cup Saturday, and then in the Midland Football League at step 5.
Midland's one of them. Southern Combinations another.
They're going after.
I think.
They're going after, and it's a tricky situation because I get the impression that the MFL, obviously, it's a local league to me. They've only got 34 Premier Division matches, and they're finishing on the 2nd Saturday, in April already as it is. So I don't think they feel that they can go before the 2nd because there just isn't the volume of games. Because it's an 18-team league again, which is a source of frustration for them. So, and because the FA Cup kind of goes across the Midlands, and the Midlands is covered by a few Step 5 leagues, you've got the prospect of maybe a team from the United Counties League having had that 90 minutes in the tank, facing an MFL side in the FA Cup, and there's that slightly uneven playing field in that first stage of the FA Cup, but can't be helped, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, the football calendar is this sort of real sort of animal that kind of, there's so many factors that influence it and dictate what needs to happen. Personally, I get why. I just think it's too early. I think it should start. FA Cup should start a week later, ideally, I'd say. But again, I know why it is. It's all due with particularly around the first round broadcasting and deals and all that kind of stuff. So, yes,
couldn't we at some stage just have FA Cup rounds on back-to-back weekends?
Yeah, well, that's
It's probably a logistical reason why we can't, but
it's probably does it need to be sort of spaced out? I guess clubs will say they need that sort of time between the games, possibly. If you get rearranged games,
but they're playing league games in the middle anyway.
Yeah, but you would be unlucky to get a game off. But if you get a game off, does it sort of start bumping games back and forth and things like that? And you have to play it the next Saturday. I don't know, but it's interesting. But you talk about the United Counties League there, Andy. There's a UCL. Is it ground hop this weekend? Is that when?
Indeed, there is. It kicks off tomorrow night, Friday night. Coventry United against Ayleston Park, 7:45 at Butts Park Arena. A good place to go because obviously loads of ground hoppers are going to turn out. But there's a big, massive stand. It's the ground that Coventry Rugby Club play at Championship level, and there's thousands of seats in one big stand, plenty of bars and stuff like that. Good facility to be starting the ground hop on. Parking might be a bit tight, so get there early if you're going. And then on the Saturday, 11:30 kickoff, Gresley Rovers against Sherwood Colliery. Again, if you're a ground hopper and you can't get to them all, Gresley Rovers is a great one to go to. Proper old school ground. You might remember in the late 90s, they couldn't win promotion to the conference because
used to be a good team, Gresley.
They won it, didn't? I think they won the Southern Premier.
Yeah, they used to be an excellent team.
And they had to give up their place in the conference, which was taken by runners of, I think it was Cheltenham Town under Steve Cottrell, and that was the thing that propelled Cheltenham Town towards going up to the Football League. So if Gresley had been able to take that at the time, maybe Cheltenham wouldn't have gone on the path that they went on. It's funny.
Dennis Bailey would have stayed at Farnborough. Maybe have stayed like that. Oh, sliding doors.
Sliding doors moments across the board. It's a proper old
school. Almost like we planned it this way, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a real old school ground, really tight at the one end. It's a little ramshackle, and they're planning to move out, I think, in the long term, although they have been for a while. So a really good one to visit for the people that like an old traditional ground. The 2:45 kickoff after that is FC Grace Dieu, which is in Leicestershire. They've been promoted from Step 7, so they're quite new. And then Daventry against Hinckley AFC, which I've seen advertised as 7 p.m. kickoff, but check all these times. That'll be a good one as well. Then on the Sunday, Skegness Town against Newark Town, 11:30 kickoff. And then the UCL ground hop dips into the Northern Counties East League for Louth Town in Lincolnshire against Appleby Frodingham, which is a fantastic name and makes me want to go to the game, irrespective of anything else. So yeah, the ground hop finishes over in Lincolnshire with the White Wolves at home. So loads of football to be had there, and all organised through Ground Hop UK, and it will be a great event, I'm sure, for the hundreds of people that no doubt will turn up at all these games. Great for the clubs and great for the profile of non-league that, you know, this collection of games is happening, and the revenue opportunities and the exposure. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, they're great events, aren't they? Like I say, Ground Hop UK have been doing this for a long time, haven't they? And they do all sorts of they do other leagues as well, don't they? So it's yeah, like we're all kind of ground hoppers at heart. I know you are as well, Andy. You sort of always going to your new places, and I even managed to divert you to Wealdstone last season, didn't I? When you were on your way somewhere else, and you came down, and we spent an evening at Wealdstone for the game against Boston because you need to tick that one off. So,
indeed, yes, yeah. I even took my old banger into the ULEZ area, so it cost me a little bit more, but
it's worth it to spend the evening with myself, is what you were going to say. I thought, yeah.
Well, it was a good game. Don't know about the company. No, I'm joking.
Was it a good game though? Can't remember if it was a good game. It's a tight game, wasn't it?
It was that relegation, but they were either side of the relegation line, and it wasn't a fantastic flowing game, but there was that tension around.
Yeah, that kind of drama that you have at the end of the season.
Wealdstone won 1-0, didn't they? And both stayed up in the end, of course.
Yeah, that was it was an enjoyable evening. But we'll have to do a sort of a kind of a favourite ground show at one point as well, or grounds that you want to get to that you haven't been to yet. It's kind of it's hard to think, you know.
Yeah, we'll have a thing.
The amount we sort of go to pick one out as your top one is hard. Although Andy, I feel like you have one. I feel like you've got one there brewing.
I don't know if you can see my mug. Tom Pentra, the Ronda Bulldogs. I think they're about Welsh fourth tier, but they were second tier at the time. I like going to my Welsh grounds. Great settings and backdrops. Tom Pentra, great place to go. Nice old style clubhouse, and views of the valleys. It's in South Wales. Worth a visit.
I know there's like a big drive, obviously, with sort of ground grading and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the improving in facilities is very important to get people back through grounds. But there is something kind of special about those old grounds that are kind of been nailed together a few different times. And, that
throws you back to the 80s, doesn't it? A simpler time.
Wouldn't know.
Born in
the mid-80s, don't remember. Don't remember that early on. I don't remember that early on. I think my first game was at Sudbury, but I don't remember it. Don't remember. Talking about Gresley Rovers, my first FA Vars final was when Gresley Rovers played Guiseley in '91 at Wembley. It was 4-4, so that was not a bad first trip to Wembley.
Guys, was it the following year that Guiseley got to Wembley as well against Wimborne Town? Was it?
I think it was, yeah. I don't know. Did Dis? I feel like Dis Town. No, they did. You're right.
I think it was the year after. I want to say
it was. Yeah. Guiseley won it. Guiseley won it in a replay. Beat Gresley in a replay, and then the next year it was the Wimborne one.
And they lost 5-3.
Yeah, it was. Alex Pike always told this sort of a story about how he went up to Guiseley. He would go off in the sort of summer, kind of, I assume, sort of on holiday around the UK, and he went to Guiseley, and they said that there was he said there's a space for a picture on their wall in their clubhouse, and they said that's when you beat us, and he was he quite enjoyed the fact that they. I
always enjoyed my chats with Tom Killick about that one. The Dorchester Town manager, who was at Poole for the best part of 2 decades, scored 2 goals in that final, and was quite the feared striker. And when Poole and Wimborne were in sort of Step 4 Southern League, and they had a bit of a rivalry going on through the local paper when I worked at the Bournemouth Echo at the time, some of the newer Wimborne fans would give him loads of stick, and who are you? And he'd come back and say, well, actually, I scored 2 goals for you at Wembley on the greatest day in your club's history. So
it's quite a comeback, sort of quite a bit of a mic drop moment, that, isn't it? Yeah. No, that was my Guiseley, Gresley, and then I went a few years later and saw Dis Town win as well. And that was when Wembley. The old grounds are the best.
I never went to the old Wembley. My first trip to Wembley was the first competitive game at the new Wembley, which was the Stevenage Kidderminster FA Trophy final.
Yeah, I went to that one. Yeah, as well. Yeah,
got a record attendance, and obviously Kiddie blew a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2 to Stevenage.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. Who's the last domestic team to win at the old Wembley?
Oh, he always does this.
Just a random question.
Have you just Googled this?
He hasn't Googled it. He hasn't Googled it because he doesn't need to Google it. This just he always somehow gets this in. Somehow, we'll be
just. I don't need to Google it. I know for a fact because I was there, but.
I was there as well.
I'm not sure who that is.
Go on, Andy. Who do you think it was?
Oh, I haven't got a Scooby. Must be Ipswich Town or something.
Good guess. Very good guess. It was, yeah. It was Ipswich versus Barnsley, Championship playoff final. Ipswich won 4-2. What a game it was as well.
I actually went to that.
I was directed in the wrong end. So for you Barnsley fans who might recognise me. From 25 years ago, I doubt very much whether you would, but if you did,
you've not really got a Barnsley.
Thank you for your hospitality.
You've not really got the Barnsley accent down, mate. I've got to say, no.
I had a blue scarf which I had to hide in my shirt, which was poking up like that, and one guy next to me, he was really nice actually. He was a nice fellow, and he just said, I like your scarf, mate. He said.
What did you do? Was it who scored their first goal? Was it
their first goal? Darren Barnard scored for them.
Barnard, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Darren Barnard. Scored an excellent goal. Of course, had a really good non-league career as well.
Is there any other lads in that? Those must have been in those teams who went on and played in non-league as well. Then surely who've been involved in non-league.
Jamie Clapham played in that game. Jamie Clapham, obviously, I think he's still at Loughborough Students, is he? Is he still manager at Loughborough Students? I know, Jamie Clapham, he was an excellent player for Ipswich and, doing well in non-league as well. So
there you go. He's managed to somehow shoehorn it in.
Yeah.
Well,
again. Yeah,
just the natural flow of the conversation.
That's the annoying thing about it is you sort of I feel like you're sort of directing us down there without us even knowing, and then suddenly we're talking about Ipswich's. One thing I suppose to ask is what was their result at the new Wembley? How have they got on at the new Wembley?
Never played there.
What?
I think we're one of I know it's amazing, isn't it? I think we're one of only about 6 clubs, or maybe even about 5 clubs. I think one of only 5 clubs in a football league never to have played it in New Wembley.
Blimey.
Didn't need it. You went up without the playoffs, didn't you, mate?
Well, that's it. Yeah, we didn't need it
Yeah.
this year. Didn't need it year before either when we got promoted from League One.
Not the boring way.
But I think this year, if we do go up, I think we might need it this year.
There are to completely change the subject. There are a load of other leagues, obviously kicking off apart from the United Counties League this weekend, and there were a couple of interesting ones. Brett Donnelly used to be the manager at Hitchin Town.
Yeah,
He is now at AFC Welling, and it was interesting to see that I think the ground share at Potter's Bar. They've won 2 titles in a row to get up to step 5, and they kick off at step 5 against Arlesey Town on Saturday. So that will be an interesting one as the Spartan South Midlands League kicks off. And the other one that leapt
Quite a
out at
character
me,
as well. Quite a character. Sort of the pleasure of interviewing him, and he's it's in entertaining chat. I think if you've seen any of AFC Welling's stuff on sort of Insta and TikTok and things like that, they're sort of going down that route a little bit as well. But yeah, quite
lively. But that'll be a big one for them, won't it? Because they started out as the development side of Welling Garden City, and now they're one level away, having steamrolled to a couple of championships by the look of things. And the other one that leaps out at me, Clevedon Town, who lost in the playoff final in the Western Premier. Obviously, they used to be Step 2 Clevedon. They've been knocking at the door for a few years. They host Step 5 newcomers Sidmouth Town on Saturday as well. So that's down by the seaside. They're newcomers to the FA Cup this season as well, Sidmouth. So that'll be an interesting clash and a bit of a baptism of fire for Sidmouth, I think, who came up from the Southwest Peninsula this season. So there's a couple more fixtures for those who are maybe not in that Midlands area or can't get to the ground hop.
Yeah,
interesting one starting off for this weekend.
Yeah, I'm saying it starts early, but it is nice to get out in that sun, and which will hopefully be this weekend, and enjoy football in warm weather as well, with a pint on the side. There's obviously a piece that we had in the paper on Sunday from you, Andy, about a really special game on Sunday, this coming Sunday at Leamington's ground in memory of Tom Rankin.
Indeed, yeah. I remember covering at the time, it was 3 years ago when tragically Tom, captain of Redditch United at the time, less than 24 hours after playing in a game and it being the normal Saturday, unfortunately took his own life, to the shock of everybody on the circuit. He was a big character, loved by all. He was one of the big reasons why he was captain is he was kind of the social glue of the squad down there. It was a terrible shock to everybody, particularly his family. I have to give a shout out to his dad Bob and his mum Wendy, who have been very brave in the circumstances. You can sometimes retreat with these things, but they've been very proactive in trying to help other people with their mental health and teaming up with Tom's former clubs, Redditch, Bromsgrove Sporting, Leamington and Loughborough Students, and Tom's former teammates and friends in terms of not only keeping his memory alive, but raising money for campaign against living miserably with CALM, the suicide prevention charity. They have a game each year, and it is on Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff. Gates and bar open at 12. Leamington Football Club. So it's a Tom Rankin 11, friends and former teammates against a Loughborough Students 11. 1 p.m. kickoff. All proceeds will go to it's admission by donation, with the money going to CALM. Very important to people in the area. And as Paul Holloran said last week, there's a two-pronged thing here. It's keeping Tom's memory alive, which is very important, but also helping people out. He's done his research and he told me it costs about £15 to have these calls on the CALM helpline. And if they can raise enough money to sponsor 200 of these calls or even more, how many people get help before they get to the point of crisis? And that is the key message, really. So if you're kicking around the Midlands or you're close enough to the Midlands on Sunday, pop out. It's going to be a lovely day, remembering a lovely lad and helping a lovely family. and also doing some good, because we know mental health is still really prevalent, male mental health in particular, issues around that, and anything that we can do to boost awareness, boost the help that's out there. This ticks all the boxes. So get yourself down there, Leamington, on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. I think, there's lots of stuff here. We talk about football seriously, and then, it is a kind of a serious thing, but there's also this other side of it, isn't there? That's, it's all about looking after each other and making sure that not underestimating the power of football and non-league football and that sort of community that everybody has. And that goes, as you say, from players inside changing rooms and everybody around clubs to fans, and all just looking after each other and, trying to do a good bit so that, people who are having a really difficult time know where to find the right help, and they can get that help that they need and get back to enjoying the things and getting out and watching football, which we all look forward to doing this week.
Everyone's talking more these days, and that's the key part of it. It's that raising of awareness. If somebody can spot something unusual that's going on that prevents any tragedies going forward, that's all you can do, isn't it? And like I say, this one ticks all the boxes. There's going to be a good turnout, and I know that particularly the players involved. I think of people like Worcester City striker Dan Sweeney, who was at Macclesfield before. I think of Reece Francis, who's been around the Midlands patch and all those clubs. They're very keen, to make sure that we keep pushing this game each year, and the sentiments around it, and making sure it stays top of the agenda, because we've seen far too many still of these occurrences. They've been across our pages, across different areas, and the more awareness that we raise nationally, the more people that we help, irrespective of the area.
Yeah, 100%. I think you say we've written lots of stories down the years about it. I think the way we report it's a lot differently as now as well, which has definitely been a forward step massively. I'm not saying just us, but like across the board, the way these things get reported as well. But as you say, trying to help people and push that message is is really key. I'm sure it'll be a great day on Sunday, and as you say, Tom's memory will be at the forefront for everybody as well, and that will be a good thing to come out of a really difficult sort of event in everybody's lives. Are sort of so closely connected to him and the family and everything. So get down there if you can. Enjoy your football as well on Saturday. And if it's pre-season, if you still are going to boring pre-season games, enjoy those as well. But we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everybody watching over the last few weeks since we've launched this YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, leave a nice comment.
Please do.
Please let Couch any sort of tips for his kitchen, what you want on that back wall, different.
Yeah, need something to do with that. Really need another drawer or something, I think, for that to.
Got a bit of drawer anywhere.
The meter, yeah.
Or which club mugs you'd like to see us drink
Which
from?
club mugs, yeah. Well, and that's why
on Pentra. Who else do we want to see?
Yeah.
Suggestions welcome.
Also, I think we were thinking about doing some kind of predictions in the next couple of weeks. We're going to put our necks on the line, make ourselves really popular with certain groups of fans. Let us know if you let us know your thoughts on that.
I'm gonna find a fence to sit on. I feel like we don't need our faces put up in non-league changing rooms at the start of the season. They've all got TVs in there.
Well, that's it. We can use it as motivation.
Get our mugs up in the changing room. Look what this idiot thinks we're going to do this year. That would be a new version of pinning a story onto a dressing room, or be actually broadcast into dressing rooms. But
we usually give that to Adam Virgo, don't we? Let him take the flag.
We'll try and get Adam Virgo off his sunbed, and we can see if he can. Things, but
make it nice and easy for us. Just give it a Virgo.
Nice and neutral. We say nice and neutral. But thanks for joining us, chats. Andy, thanks for hopping on. Really appreciate it. Good to have you with us and giving us all your insight there on that. And we'll see you all. We'll see you all again soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.